This is the most satisfying thing I've ever made in this game. What's up people, I'm Potato Noir and today I'm going to introduce you to the new age of Minecraft. That's right, we have the new auto crafter here, fully crafting every single block in the game of Minecraft, and I'm going to show you how to build it. But first, let's take a look at this block and a little bit of what it can do so that I can explain it a little bit better. Behold, the crafter. So this thing can craft any block in the game as long as you have the items and put them in here. You'll see that there's a template on the right hand side, and whenever you power it with redstone, it'll go ahead and spit that item out and dispense it kind of like a dropper does. It also has by far the most satisfying user interface of any redstone block. I could seriously do this all day. You can use this to disable slots that you're not going to use so that you can fill up the inventory with just the items that you want to craft and won't go into any more slots. And this is useful because if you input items to the top via hopper like this, they're going to automatically fill from top to bottom, left to right. The items work by prioritizing the slots with less items in them, so if I have one with higher, it's going to go ahead and try and fill all these other ones before this one. This is really good for crafting recipes because almost all of the cases you're going to be using items that with an equal amount of slots for each same ingredient. It also behaves like droppers and dispensers when powered. It'll power redstone dust on top, unlike observers which won't and act like transparent blocks, but droppers and observers behave the same way as the new crafter. This means that you could power other components through it, which is just something to be aware of when making designs. Now the way that this crafter interacts with a comparator is actually really interesting. You can see here that anytime you disable a slot or add any item in the slot, you're going to be getting a single strength put out the back from the comparator. And what this means is that anytime you have all the slots filled up and your crafting shape is ready, then you'll get the maximum single strength of 9 out the back. And just for reference, it never goes over a single strength of 9, even if you have something here in the side. This slot actually doesn't interact with the comparator at all, since whenever you power the dropper, it'll automatically drop this item out of the front or into whatever container is in front of it. This means that we can make a little smart detection system using a lectern with a book set to page 9 and a comparator coming out of that. This will give a signal strength of 9 going into the side, and whenever the crafter gets to a signal strength of 9, it will automatically give an output from the signal. So this is an easy way of getting a redstone output every time we have our item ready to be crafted. And using this knowledge, we can go ahead and construct a crafter that is going to automatically craft items for itself using this little bit of redstone dust from the back to the front. It's the same exact system, and once we go ahead and disable all these slots, we'll get that pickaxe. As long as the items are correctly fed in the right order into the crafter, we can make anything automatically craft itself. Now this is how my big setup over here works, but before that I want to explore a few simpler possibilities that you might want to use if you don't want to make this big complicated redstone thing. So right here I have a really simplistic setup for automatically crafting same block recipes using just one ingredient that don't have any early crafts involved. So right here I'm using diamonds for these, which are making diamond blocks, but this would not work with iron ingots right here because if you get one iron at the beginning, it wants to be crafted into nuggets first. So this wouldn't work for iron or gold, but it'll work for things like dyes, blocks of diamond, blocks of netherite, and other single item crafts. So right here we have a lever to unpower this block, which will go ahead and turn the crafter on. And as you can see, it's just cranking blocks out. I wish I had this many diamonds. So right now it's going a tiny bit faster than it would automatically load if you just put items into this boat, because it only takes them out of there at a certain speed, and this observer clock is quicker than that speed. But once we get down here, you'll see exactly how many this is crafting per second, and that's what this will typically look like whenever you have it. So that's pretty darn quick for crafting whole blocks. So doing some napkin math tells me that this makes just over 4,000 items per hour, and that's the number of blocks that it is making, which is over 64 stacks per hour. So if you have a very simplistic farm, this could really crank out items if you want one specific item really quickly. And you could also chop it up to just have one coming in the top, which would lower the rates, but it would be tileable if you had a bunch of these next to each other, like in my dye farm, which you can find here. And in case you're wondering, the chest boat on the top just dispenses the items evenly into all 4 of these hoppers up here. So there are a lot of simple ways to make crafter setups, and I'm going to show a few of them here. This is kind of combining this design with this design, and so what this is doing is that no matter what configuration this is in, it will give you this block first, then this middle block, and then the right block. So this is just a little setup to automatically unpower all of them directly at once. As you can see, it did the green, then the blue, then the red, which was this hopper, and this hopper. So you could use this to automate any 3 ingredient recipes that you know will be pushed into in a specific order that is simple. And this would also work for 2 ingredient recipes as well. So that's enough about how this works. Let me tell you my design to craft any item in the game of Minecraft. So this system is tileable, and you can also chop it off at any point if you have just a 5-item recipe or a 4-item recipe, you can literally just dissect this as much as you like. Obviously, if you get down to 2, you might have to leave some of this down here. Otherwise, it's completely configurable for any number of items to craft on one crafter. And the farm will automatically shut down if one of the ingredients runs out. So for example, if we take out these planks right here, this system will actually activate and the crafter will stop crafting after this one. And then without changing anything else to the farm, if we go ahead and get those items back in here, we'll see that the crafter goes ahead and starts back up and we'll begin crafting those again. And there we go. So that's what this thing can do. I'll go ahead and talk you a little bit through the specifics of how exactly it works. So what we have happening here is the comparator output from the crafter is the signal to go ahead and get another item to be crafted. And so that's being done via this lectern reading system, which is similar to what is going on over here, just in a slightly different form factor. And we also have the redstone dust going to power the crafter from behind in the similar way to we had back here. So on the backside over here, we have this signal from the initial comparator is turning off this torch for just a little bit. So if you can see on the inside, there's a note block that's hidden right here. And what this is doing is that whenever this torch depowers, it will retract this observer, which will go into the block that is normally right here. And that will go ahead and give a signal, which will power the note block and start this observer chain. And so then you can see whenever the signal gets propagated out this way, we have a bunch of observers facing into those. And what those will do is they'll give a signal into these blocks, which will power each of these droppers in turn. And the way this does this is in kind of a wave so that there's a little bit more space in between the items, which fixes some of the weird hopper priority issues that people were having. And finally, on the back side here, we have a row of comparators going out of each of these droppers. This is so that we have protection so that if any of the items completely run out, we'll get a signal into one of these torches, which any one of which will power this whole line, which will go over to this protection system right here, which will keep this sticky piston powered. And what that will do is prevent any of the signals from the dropper going back into the signal line and starting the farm again. And so now we're waiting on the items in this dropper right here. So if we go ahead and input them back in, we'll see that this will turn off, which will then power this piston right here, give a signal to this sticky piston, which will also give a signal into the starting mechanism for the farm. So this will start it back up again, as I will show. Bam, you see that extended and we got the signal, and now we're automatically crafting once more. And so then from here, you can go ahead and put all the items into a chest or a water stream. You can even orient this crafter in a different way. You can have it dropping down. I wouldn't recommend having it drop up because there's this redstone right here, but otherwise any other direction will work here. The emerald blocks are just for the sound of these note blocks because I think it sounds cool. They make the kind of video game noise. And so what I love about this is that you can actually set this to whatever little mini song that you like, and you can change the notes of all of these to play whatever crafting recipe you want. Or if you don't want this to make any noise at all, you could place a block above all of these note blocks, and that would go ahead and silence them for you if you prefer if you have a bunch of them. And if you want to replicate the little nice tone that I have right here, this is set on the first note, this is set on the 5th note, this is set on the 8th note, and this is on the 13th. So you'd have to click this one 0 times, you have to click this one 4 times, you have to click this one 7 times, and this one 12 times. So let me go ahead and walk you through how to build this thing. It looks very confusing, but I promise it's not really that bad to build. And you can go ahead and refer to this list for all the materials for the build. So to start off, you want to go ahead and find the place you want your crafter to be. You can place it in any orientation, but I would recommend dispensing out either this way, or to the bottom. Next, you want to get 9 hoppers and go ahead and place them directly behind the crafter right here. Now you're going to go ahead and fill a line of blocks behind each of these observers. And on top of all these blocks, we're going to place a bunch of droppers. So you can place the first one like this, and then go ahead and place them all so that they're all facing into these hoppers right here. You'll have to hold shift and right click to do this. Now that we have these, we're going to go ahead and place another row of blocks directly behind each of these droppers. And we're going to go ahead and place comparators facing out of the back of all of these. Then we're going to do another row of blocks directly leading out of the comparators. And we're going to put torches in front of all of those. Just like shunk. Now underneath all these torches, we're going to need a redstone line. So you're going to go ahead and build out directly under here. So that if you'd place a dust, it would be powered directly like this. And then you're going to go ahead and fill this slot in for each of the rows. And then go ahead and place redstone dust on all of these. So now on the second block, we're going to build down and out 5 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to fill all of that with redstone dust, except for the last one, which will be a repeater. This repeater will have a sticky piston directly in front of it like this, and it should be powered at this moment. And then you'll have an observer facing downwards in front of it. Now we're going to go ahead and place a redstone torch right here and another sticky piston on top of this and facing this way so that whenever this torch turns on, it will power this. And then we're going to place one more observer facing into this piston like this. Now we're going to put a block right here and a note block on top of it. And now we're going to come around to the back and place the rest of the observers and note blocks. So we have note block, we do observer, note block, observer, note block, observer, note block, observer, note block. So it should look like this. And now we're going to start our system going out of the crafter. So we'll have a block here, a comparator facing out of the crafter, and another block that it's facing into directly behind it, another block directly on top of it, and some redstone dust onto the crafter itself. And then over here, we're going to have 2 blocks, and we're going to have redstone dust on this last one and a torch on this first one. And next up, we're going to have another comparator facing into this one from the side, and we're going to have a lectern behind that with a book that is set to the 9th page. And so there we go. So you should be getting an output from this comparator right here from the lectern itself. And then finally, we're going to place a block right here. We're going to place redstone dust on top of it. And then we're going to place a lever on the front. And so this is the on-off switch for the whole farm. Whenever it's powered, it is off. Whenever it is unpowered, it is on. So I'd recommend turning this off for right now. And now we're going to go ahead and add some composers on top of these hoppers. This will keep items from getting into them and also reduce a little bit of lag. And finally, we'll have our item input for each of the droppers right here. And you could do this however you'd like. You could put barrels on top of it like I have in the other setup, or you could have items flowing in from farms. And so it doesn't matter as long as they're each in their correct spot. So for now, I'm just going to put some barrels right here just to showcase that this is what they would look like. Now, optionally, if you want, you can customize the note blocks right here to any sound and or tones that you like. So I like the emerald blocks right here. Just keep in mind, it will update them, so you want to do this before going ahead and putting your items in. So I'm just going to go ahead and set this to what I have the other one for 1st note, 5th note, 8th note, and 13th note. And just for reference, you do this by right-clicking each of these. So now that we have all this finalized, we're going to go ahead and place each item into the individual slot that it needs to go into each of these droppers. And so the order that this needs to be in is from, once again, left to right, top to bottom in this, because they'll fill in this order right here. So I'm going to make another piston, which is going to be bamboo planks. And as you can see, these comparators are turning on, which is exactly what should be happening. And we have the iron, and we have the cobble, more cobble, redstone, and finally the cobblestone. And as you can see, once we have all the items, the farm will go ahead and start crafting. But we have it powered off so that it just has the template right in here for right now. So now if you want to start this up, you just power this level right here and you can craft any single item in the game. It's really that simple. So thanks for stopping by everyone, and I hope that you've learned something and that you can put this crafter to good use. I can't wait to see all the systems that people are going to make for this, and I'm very happy with how this has turned out, and I'm really excited to see just what the community has to think about this. Lastly, my channel is growing very fast, and so I'm going to be making a Discord very soon. I'm a very busy person though, so it's going to be just a few more days probably. But I have a lot of exciting things in store for you guys, which you can find out there shortly. And I'll be posting probably a video or a community post, something along those lines to let you guys know that it's coming up soon. And because we're almost at 1,000 subscribers, I'd like to take the opportunity to just thank all you guys for all your support of the channel. I've loved seeing all of your ideas and support. In the past year or so that I've been posting, this channel has been my absolute passion, and I've loved bringing these designs to you guys. So thanks for all your support on my dye farm. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I've farmed every single dye in the game, and now you could improve it with all these mechanisms I just showed here. And that's all for now. I'll catch you in the next video.